The wind whispered through the empty streets as a lone figure sat quietly beneath a fading streetlight. His eyes were fixed on nothing in particular, but within that stillness lived a storm of emotions. Once he had been the kind of man who rushed through life, always chasing something just beyond his reach. But tonight, everything had changed. What he had learned, and what you're about to hear, is how the quiet strength of patience transformed not only his life, but everyone around him. We live in an age of instant gratification. Click, swipe, buy, post, and there it is, the illusion of fulfillment. Yet the truth is far deeper and far quieter. The story that follows isn't about who can run the fastest, shout the loudest, or conquer the world overnight. It's about the unseen power that builds greatness in silence. Patience. The kind of patience that turns small steps into giant leaps and quiet endurance into unshakable strength. Meet Arjun. Years ago, he was full of ambition, but had no control over his emotions. Every delay felt like defeat. Every obstacle seemed like the end. In a world that demanded speed, he fought to keep up, but the faster he ran, the emptier he felt. Opportunities slipped through his fingers, not because he lacked talent, but because he lacked patience. It took a single moment, one that cut deep, to change everything. That moment came when his startup collapsed just weeks before launching. He had poured his entire soul into it. Angry, sleepless, desperate, he blamed everyone. But as the dust settled, he realized his downfall wasn't caused by failure itself. It was caused by his inability to wait, to listen, to process. And so began his journey, a journey to discover the power hidden in waiting. Patience doesn't mean sitting idle. It's the art of timing, knowing when to act, when to pause, when to let life unfold before making your move. In Eastern philosophy, patience is seen as one of the foundations of wisdom. In modern psychology, it's recognized as emotional maturity, the ability to regulate impulses and delay gratification for something greater. Arjun's story became an experiment in applying these ancient and modern lessons to his daily life. He started small. Every morning he resisted the urge to check his phone the moment he woke up. It was hard, but within a week he noticed something. Silence had a voice. Those quiet minutes before the world demanded his attention became his sanctuary. He began noticing how often people rushed decisions, ended relationships, or quit dreams simply because they grew impatient. It dawned on him, patience isn't weakness, it's strength under control. When faced with rejection, Arjun stopped reacting. Because patience taught him one truth: rejection doesn't close doors, it simply redirects you toward better ones. He learned how to pause before responding to criticism, how to breathe before reacting in anger. This wasn't easy. Our brains are wired for speed, not serenity. But neuroscience supports what Arjun began to feel. When we slow down our reactions, we give our prefrontal cortex, the rational part of the brain, time to lead instead of the impulsive limbic system. He started journaling every night, not to record what went wrong, but what didn't require a reaction. The day his colleague took credit for his idea, he wrote, "Today, silence was my answer." The next week, his manager discovered the truth and commended his professionalism. The old Arjun would have confronted in anger. The new Arjun understood that patience often achieves what aggression never can. Soon, that calm energy began to ripple through his life. Friends started seeking his advice. People listened when he spoke because they knew his words came from reflection, not reaction. Within months, his new project began to grow, not through frantic energy, but through consistent, patient effort. It was the perfect metaphor, the bamboo tree that stays beneath the soil for years before it shoots up to the sky. But patience, like any virtue, will be tested. The greater your calm, the stronger life's waves become to test your foundation. And that test came for Arjun in the form of a betrayal he never expected, from someone he trusted as a brother. When the truth surfaced, his first instinct was to confront, to expose, to make the world see what had been done to him. But something within stopped him. This wasn't the moment to explode, it was the moment to endure. He spent nights walking by the riverside, letting the city lights reflect off the water as he processed his emotions. That silence became his therapy. Sometimes doing nothing is the hardest thing of all, but in that pause lies your peace. Psychologists describe this state as response inhibition, the ability to pause between stimulus and action. It's the core of emotional intelligence and one of the strongest predictors of success. Arjun's ability to pause allowed him to act strategically instead of emotionally. Within months, the person who betrayed him fell into the trap of his own haste, while Arjun had rewritten his story through discipline and calm. Arjun began sharing his reflections online. His words, calm yet powerful, started resonating with people worldwide. In his posts, he never complained about what went wrong. He spoke about how time can heal what anger destroys. He wrote, "You can't rush destiny. You can only prepare while you wait." That quote was shared thousands of times because it captured something every person could relate to: the struggle to wait for life to unfold. His followers soon asked him how patience could coexist with ambition, and this became his new purpose. He explained that patience isn't the opposite of passion. It's what keeps passion alive when results don't come quickly. You can be burning with ambition and still possess calm within, like a volcano waiting for the right eruption. True power lies in persistence wrapped in patience. Why does patience work so powerfully? Because it gives you space. Space between emotion and response. Space between desire and fulfillment. Space to see things as they are, not as your emotions want them to be. Modern mental health research shows that people who cultivate conscious patience experience lower stress, higher problem-solving ability, and stronger self-esteem, not because their lives are easier, but because they've mastered how to navigate them. Arjun's transformation became an example for many who felt lost in the rush of modern life. They began using his technique, the pause. When things went wrong, instead of reacting, they paused. When they didn't get immediate results, they paused. In that stillness, they found clarity. Sometimes, clarity is the only thing we need before the next step. Every person watching this right now has felt the weight of waiting. Waiting for success, for recognition, for peace, for love. But perhaps the reason it hurts is because patience feels like powerlessness, when in reality, it's the purest form of control you'll ever have. Life doesn't demand we move faster, it demands we trust the timing of our growth. So the next time your world seems to slow down, remember this story. Remember the man who learned that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, wait. Because life isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And those who learn to move with time instead of against it, they are the ones who truly conquer it. Patience is not about waiting longer. It's about growing stronger while you wait. And once you understand that, you'll never see delays the same way again, because every pause becomes preparation, and every quiet moment becomes the soil of your future. That's the quiet strength of patience, silent, steady, unstoppable.